know if I change my condition, my situation will change. So the question to you this morning, are you in your condition because of your situation, or is your situation the cause of your condition? If you can't keep a man and you change a man like you change clothes, you might need to change your condition. Your condition is you're looking for love with all the wrong people. If you change your condition and start loving yourself, your situation will change. Trying to help somebody here. So let me see here. In this 9th chapter of 2 Samuel, David, the king of all of Israel now, God has blessed him to become king of all of Israel. Saul, the first king, the people choice, is now dead because of his disobedience to God. And how many of you know your disobedience don't only affect you, but all those connected to you? Yeah, because his son died on the battlefield with him because he was disobedient. Jonathan died on the battlefield. Now David has become king. And you know David, don't you? The giant killer. David, the accomplished musician. David, the harp player. David, who slew a lion in a battle. David, who slept with Bathsheba and premeditated murder on his her husband. David, But when we look at David in 2 Samuel chapter 9, we see a different David than the David that we always talk about. This David here is the same of what God said about him. A man after my own heart. This is the David we see today. We don't see the warrior in David, but we see the David that God says would demonstrate that he is a man after my own heart. For the Bible said here that David had become king over all Israel. And David raises a question in verse 1. He says, if there anybody left of the household of Saul that I may show kindness to because of Jonathan's sake. Oh, y'all hear me? You got to understand who Jonathan was. Jonathan was Saul's son. The one should have been king right now. But Jonathan and David made a covenant together when they was young men because they loved each other more than a woman loved a man. Oh, what a friendship they had. They made a blood covenant with one another, saying that if I should die before you, if I live longer than you, then I want you to cut the promise that you would take care of my family. Oh, what a covenant. What a beautiful covenant they made. It was a love covenant. And Jonathan and Saul, the prince and the king, both died on the battlefield, and now David had become king over all Israel. The word said that he wanted to know whether there anybody he could show his kindness to. This is a picture of salvation of God in man. Oh, what a beautiful picture. God has took this out and stuck it in chapter 9 and put it between David winning victories and David's sin, and he put salvation in the middle of it. Look at God in the Old Testament. This is the greatest picture of grace, unmerited favors of God. We don't deserve it, but God did it anyhow. Have God ever did you like that? Have he ever blessed grace. I have what I have because of God's grace. Here, listen to David. Is there anybody? And one of Saul's servants said, yeah, there's a young man from the house of John. His name is Mephibosheth, which simply means a man of shame, a destroying shame. Mephibosheth was down in a city called Lodabar. And Mephibosheth was in Lodabar, his situation, because of his condition. When you read 2 Samuel chapter 4, verse 4, you will discover what happened to Mephibosheth. You will understand that when Saul and Jonathan, his father, got killed, word came that they had failed dead. And the nurse that was keeping Mephibosheth, when he was 5 years old, picked the baby up and took off running, but she failed, and the baby fell, and she dropped the baby and bit both of his ankles. And he became lame for the rest of his life. His condition was that he had been dropped. It wasn't his fault. He was the product of somebody else's failure. And maybe you hear this morning, it wasn't your fault. I'm trying to preach this back. Maybe you in your condition because it wasn't your fault. It wasn't your fault that you was abused while you was a baby. It wasn't your fault that you was raped. It wasn't your fault that you had to raise your own self. It wasn't your fault that your daddy was an alcoholic and your mama was a streamer. It wasn't your fault, but you are the product of somebody else's failure. Mephibosheth was in a bad condition, but it wasn't his fault. And can I tell you, all of humanity is in the same condition that Mephibosheth was in. You see, when Adam and Eve was in the garden, can I talk to you a little while? Adam and Eve fell, and every man, every child, every woman was born after Adam and Eve. You've been dropped. It ain't your fault. You was born with a sin nature. It ain't your fault you do what you do. I stopped by to tell you, you were born with a sin nature. Nobody don't have to teach you how to lie. You came here knowing how to lie. Nobody didn't have to teach you how to steal. You came here knowing how to steal. It ain't your fault. You failed when Adam and Eve failed. In other words, you've been dropped. Somebody ain't getting this right. You've been dropped. When Adam and Eve had the race in their hands, they was running from God. And they failed and dropped all of humanity that came after them. And that's what God now want to know. Is there anybody of the old race? Anybody of the old kingdom? That's left. That have not been saved yet. That have not received salvation yet. What I want to do is I want to show you an act of kindness. What I want you to do is I want to invite you to my table. To the king's table. Oh, I got a witness. Look at David. He's unlike any other king because simply all kings, it was customary that whenever they came to a throne, they would kill all of the rival king's family. So that as time goes by, nobody could lay claim to their throne. But David did not do that. He wanted to bless those that had been his rival, had been his enemy. Can I tell you, that's what Jesus did. He came to the world to seek and save that which was lost. Can I tell you, Mephibosheth was in a bad condition. But his situation was even bad. He was in Lodabar, down in Lodabar. Lodabar means no pastures. Lodabar means a barren place. It's located and situated in the transgender location. Lodabar is where people go when they've been rejected from society. Lodabar is a place where people go when they've been abused. Lodabar is a place where people go when they're lost it all. Down in Lodabar, they sit around and they talk about what they used to be, what they used to have, and they sit around all day long. Down in Lodabar, the depressed, the despondent, those that don't have hope, go to Lodabar. You see, because in Lodabar, everybody got a situation. Have I got a witness? Everybody got a story to tell in Lodabar. Everybody got a problem in Lodabar. And Lodabar is a place we go, when a prostitute, can no longer prostitute. No longer she have her strutting like a peacock. She had to go on down to Lodabar. Lodabar is a place when company fold up and you lost your job and you can't find another job. People go down to Lodabar. Lodabar is a place when you've been spousal abuse and your husband kicked you out, kicked you to the curb. I find a lot of women down in Lodabar. There's a Lodabar in every town. There's a Lodabar in every city. Lodabar is where people go when they don't want to deal with their life situations anymore. Lodabar is a place where you can go and nobody never notice you anymore. Everybody down in Lodabar got some kind of problem.